You already know who it is, and you already know what it is. It's your boy B, and I'm right back, about you cats, with another video. And we right back at it, my people. Welcome to another episode of the Outlier Podcast. And I am your host, your boy, your friend, the Outlier B. So what up, my good people out there? How y'all feeling, man? What is new? It's another day. It is Tuesday. And as you guys know, if you've been following the channel, that it is usually my day working from home. But I've been taking it back to prior to the COVID time, man, where we was doing 5 days straight. I figured if we was doing it back then I could do it now. Plus, I don't move to nobody's rhythm, man. Just because they say I could work from home, that don't necessarily mean that I should work from home. You know, I just do what I want in this world. If I feel like working, I'll go in. If I don't, then I'll stay home. But it is what it is, man. So how was you guys' night? How was your night? Mine was straight. I went to bed very, very, very early, around like maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. Then I woke up like around 2:30. And I've been up ever since, my people, full of energy, full of energy. So how were you guys feeling, man? How were you guys feeling? If you up during this time, it's 4:30 in the morning over here in Freeport, New York, that must mean one thing. That must mean that you are a fellow outlier. And what is an outlier? An outlier is someone who's produced by the system, meaning you came up in the system, but at the same time, you are a statistical outlier, meaning that sometimes you see the world differently, man. Sometimes you see the world differently, you know? So that's why you're up here and you didn't find this podcast by accident. It found you at the right time, man. So what's up? If you're a fellow outlier, hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button. What's going on? We got a great episode lined up for you. We're going to speak about the fragrance of the week, which is Vetiver Extraordinaire. We also are going to continue with our talk about Bernard Goetz. Bernard Goetz. And this was a very interesting case which happened in 1984 in New York. And in order to understand that case, you guys got to get context on exactly what happened, my people. It's going to take a lot of context to see exactly what happened. We're going to look at some of the issues in which that case uncovered. And we also going to speak about some of the parallels of what happens and how it still relates to today. So we got somebody on the check-in. We got Jasmine on the check-in. She said, "Yer, what's going on, Jasmine? How are you doing today? How was your day lined up? What do you have planned for the day?" Put that in the check-in. We got somebody else on the check-in. Said, "Are you that guy that pull his junk inside a Build-A-Bear?" We always get the stragglers, man. Somebody that come in and say something funny. Nah, that won't me, my brother. Somebody did something inside of the Build-A-Bear. That's dirty work. We got somebody else that put the fire emoji on there. Thank you for checking in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If this is something that you guys like. If this is something that you guys like. And what is this? I'm just a regular brother who gets on here every day and speaks about his life, man. I'm on my way to work. Got to catch that 5 o'clock train. You dig? Somebody said, "Hi, what's going on?" Risa Sweetie 50, what up? WFG Alaskan here. Alaska on the check-in. What up, my people in Alaska? How are you feeling in Alaska? Alaska's a place I definitely want to go to. Somebody else on the check-in said, what's good in your hood? God bless you, my brother. Everything is straight. God bless you too. That is Reed on the check-in. We got somebody on. Risa Sweetie said, hello, what up? Somebody else came in and said, where you at? I'm in Freeport, New York. Freeport, New York. Nassau County. This is Nassau County, New York. It is a suburb of New York City. We're about, 20 minutes away from Queens, 20 to 30 minutes away from Queens, about 45 minutes away from Manhattan. Somebody on the check-in says, stay safe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody said, pretty good. Chilly warm now. Chilly warm. What's the weather like in Alaska, man? What is the weather like in Alaska right now? He said chilly/warm. This is New York, and it is pretty warm today, about close to 60. Not too much wind. We got somebody else from Detroit. Shout out to my people in Detroit. Every single day, we get somebody that check in from Detroit. You guys are really becoming one of my most checked in cities in the U.S. And also, I've never been to Detroit, man. I keep telling y'all that I am going to go to Detroit very, very soon. I got to check Baltimore first, but Detroit is definitely next. Somebody said, you're 5 minutes from getting muggies. What that mean? What that mean? What that mean? Mugs? What that mean? Somebody said, be very careful walking by yourself at this time of the night. Somebody said the past few months, the cold hit bad. The snow also. So in Alaska, the cold and the snow also hit. Oh, that's crazy. I definitely want to go to Alaska, though. Somebody said, are you kidding? We are super duper hot here in Texas. Somebody said he meant mugged. Mugged. All right, I got you. Somebody said they super duper hot out there in Texas. Shout out to the people in Texas. You said you hot. All right, that's what up. That's what up, man. But out here in New York, we about what? 50 degrees right now. 50 degrees, close to 60. So the weather is definitely heating up. Last week, it was freezing, man. This New York weather is bipolar. New York weather is bipolar, man. 1 week, it'll be like 30, and then the next week it'll be like 60. And that's how it's been. You know? Somebody said, bring the warm here in Texas. I need salmon. Y'all crazy. Somebody said it's about 50 to 60 in Ohio. It's bipolar too. Shout out to the people in Ohio. Shout out to my people in Ohio. My uncle moved to Ohio a couple years ago. He moved to, where he moved to? I think he moved to Akron, Ohio. So shout out to the people out there in Ohio. All right, so we're gonna get into the show. And the fragrance of the week, you guys know that for the next couple of weeks, I've committed myself to test Vetiver fragrances. And Vetiver is something that is very cool to me. It's a relaxing fragrance, my people. And we're going to look at 3 separate fragrances. Last week, it was Grey Vetiver by Tom Ford. That is a very upscale fragrance. It is something that you'll use at like a black tie event when you're dressed up real nicely. Today, or this week, it is Vetiver Extraordinaire. This is a different type of Vetiver. Both Tom Ford and also Vetiver Extraordinaire. Both are centered around the fragrance of Haitian Vetiver, but this one is a little bit more creamier. This one right here, it sticks onto your skin and it projects a lot more than the Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, my people. It sticks a lot more than the Tom Ford Grey Vetiver. So yesterday, when I was on my way home, I rode the E train. And I felt like this one was just coming off of me and people smelt me. And that's different because the Tom Ford, it sticks closer to your skin. This one definitely projects and it's very much stronger. I took off my clothes this morning to take a shower and I still smelled it. And I only do, 3 sprays in the morning. And then I do another spray like around maybe 2:30 in the afternoon, and I smelled it when I took my shower this morning. So it's a very, very, very strong fragrance. This one is a bolder fragrance, and it says a lot more about your personality if you're going to be wearing Vetiver Extraordinaire. This is one that's bold. It is also less fresh as the Tom Ford. The Tom Ford, you get a lot of citrusy notes. This one doesn't have the citrusy notes. You know what I mean? Somebody said, "Am I a gooner?" What that mean? What that mean? What does a gooner mean? I don't know, man. Y'all come up with these terms that I don't even know. Put it in the comment section what that mean. Yeah. So Vetiver Extraordinaire is definitely different. I like it. I believe that it is definitely something that smells very good. It's something that you're probably gonna get compliments on if you have an approachable personality. It is definitely a very good fragrance, my people. Very, it's very good fragrance, man. You know, I would most definitely recommend it to people. You know, I like Vetiver. Somebody said I'm from India, so what up to the people in India? Shout out to the people in India. Aside from Detroit, India also checks in with me. India checks in with me a lot. Shout out to y'all. So, yeah, I went back and looked at Vetiver fragrances and what it is about Vetiver that I really, really, really like. And Vetiver is like woodsy. It's woodsy. And wood fragrances. Why do humans like wood fragrances, man? I did a little bit of research on it, and some of the research which I found out, it say that because the humans, we evolved in woodland areas, and they say that it communicates with our primary senses. It communicates with us outside of what we think about in our brain. So, like, it takes us back to a time of trust. It gives us like an infancy type feeling where before we left the woodlanded area as a species, it brings us back to that time. And it represents home. It represents things that we can trust. You dig? So that's what up. That's what up. Somebody said we goon from India. We goon from India. What that mean, man? What does "we goon from India" mean? Y'all got to explain this type of stuff to me. I'm ignorant on certain things, so y'all got to explain it. You know, y'all most definitely got to explain it. So yeah, we're going to continue wearing Vetiver Extraordinaire for the rest of the week. And I'll give you guys more of an analysis and what I think about it. But for now, it is definitely cool, man. I most definitely like it. You dig? Somebody said, WhatsApp. WhatsApp. What up? All right. So now we got to get back into that talk in which we were speaking about with Bernard Goetz. And for a recap, who was Bernard Goetz? Who was Bernard Goetz? Some of you guys are young here. Some of you guys are young here. But if you're in your 40s and a little bit older, about 50, then, and you're from like the East Coast, then you'll know about Bernard Goetz. And Bernard Goetz was a guy in New York City back in like 1984. Somebody told me to go home. I'm going to work, my brother. I'm going to work. You're hilarious. But yeah, so Bernard Goetz was a guy back in like 1984. And he was riding a New York City train, and four guys approached him. He said the people who approached him said that they just asked him for $5. But Bernard Goetz said that they was trying to rob him. And this is a guy who had a history of being mugged. About 3 years prior to this whole situation, he was beat up real bad, and people robbed him. He was robbed and beat up real bad, and the people who did it got away. One person was caught, but they let that person off with minimal responsibility. So Bernard Goetz felt some type of way. He felt some type of way about that, and we speaking about somebody who was from a rich family. His father was a CEO of a company. Somebody said, I'm from NYC. I know exactly who Bernard Goetz is, exactly. was in the 90s, bro. My bad, you're right. It was 1994. My fault. Was it 19? No, I think it was 1984. I think it was 1984, my brother. I may be wrong. You may be right, but I believe it was 1984 when this happened. But yeah, so he had gotten robbed before. So he was kind of walking around the city scared. And again, his parents were kind of rich. His father was rich. His father owned a company. He went to like a private school upstate. And he got robbed, I believe it was like 1981 and 1982. So he applied for a gun license. He applied for a gun license. Somebody said, don't let your parents turn you trans. Yo, y'all look crazy out here in the morning, man. He said, don't let your parents turn you trans. But yeah, so he applied for a gun license. And if you guys know about New York and New York City, it is one of the hardest places to get a license. So this dude went to Florida. And when he went to Florida, he got his gun. So again, a little bit of historicity, if that's a real word, but a little history of New York City back in that time. I try to get people to realize that New York City is a completely different place now in the year 2026 than what it was back in the 1980s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So you'll look at Times Square, places like this. It was completely different back in that time, my people, completely different. You had different types of people walking on the streets. You had a whole different danger. It was just completely different out there. And to try to get you guys to understand it, when you think of Gotham City and some of the recent depictions of Gotham City out there for the Batman series, it's basically made to look like New York City. It's made to look like New York City back during that time. So you got to think of crime going crazy. You got to think of graffiti all in the trains. You got to think of a time where the trains wasn't as dependable as they are now. People was just doing craziness. Like you look at the muggings, you look at the homicides, you look at theft, like car thefts, like all of this type of stuff was out of control in the 80s and the 90s, man. We got somebody else on the check-in. He said, I have a question. When you're in New York, do you have to be walking? Or when you go to a place, can you travel but without restrictions? Can we travel without restrictions? I don't understand kind of what you're saying, but in New York, you could go anywhere you want, my brother. You could definitely go anywhere you want. There's not as many people traveling, like driving, especially like in the Manhattan, where the average person is not really going to drive. We depend heavily on public transportation. And during that time in the 80s and the early 90s, the train system was much, much, much different, man. You got to think of graffiti. You got to think of all this type of stuff. And the movie The Joker basically kind of took from the Bernard Goetz story, kind of. So think about the Joker. Think about that situation, what he did to the people who tried to rob him. And that's kind of what happened with Bernard Goetz, you know? So we had a city that was being overrun by criminals. And then you had this Bernard Goetz guy who was just a regular dude like me and you. You know, again, his parents were rich. He had pretty good money. I believe he started a software company or some type of company where he himself had a lot of money. And again, he was robbed before, so he was already nervous. And when these guys approached him, he was scared. He was scared. So when they asked him for $5, he went off, y'all. He went off, my people. Somebody said where I'm at. Somebody said I had to Google myself. It was December 1984. Yep, December 22nd, 1984, I believe. Somebody said, where am I at? The South? Nah, I'm not in the South. This is Freeport, New York, a suburb of New York City. So yeah, you know, people were just fed up with the crime out here in New York. And you had a guy like Bernard Goetz who, again, they said that they just approached him and asked him for $5. But he said that they was trying to rob him. So this dude went off, man, and shot him. Shot the perpetrators who was asking him for the money. Now, The interesting thing about this is he said it was self-defense. Now, self-defense. Let's get into self-defense, man. Self-defense. So one of the people that got shot, he was in the wheelchair for the rest of his life. But a couple of the people, Long Island, Long Island, yes, Long Island. We are in Long Island. Somebody said I was around for that in the 80s. Oh, really? You was around, Johnny Cruel? Tell me how you felt about that case. Tell me how you felt about the case. So yeah, he shot these people, but when you look at some of the shots, a couple of them were shot in the back. And then one of the people who was shot, he was on the ground. And then Bernard, he shot him while he was on the ground. So this was crazy, man. He went into hiding. He went into New England. But then he came back and he turned himself in. And he had an interview with the police and everything. And one of the telling things was that he was very, very, very socially awkward. He was a skinny guy. You could see that, he wasn't no bad guy. But at the same time, he was fed up with the crime. And he showed absolutely no remorse. He showed no remorse for killing these people. He even was saying that if it had happened to him, if he was a victim with one time, he said nobody would care about him. He was saying that if he had more bullets, he would have shot them again. He said if, he could have, he would have killed them. He was saying all of this stuff, and it basically split the city in half. Some people were saying that he was a vigilante. Other people looked at him as if he did something like God's work, like getting these criminals back. And it's not, a easy case. It's a vigilante. Somebody said, yep, a vigilante. Somebody said he was like Charles Bronson, going against those who was doing wrong. Yeah, a lot of people felt like that, and it really goes back into New York, man. And we still have similar issues where, we're a democratic city. People say that we're you look at DA Alvin Bragg, and people say that we're soft on crime and things like that. And these are some of the issues that were still spoken about in the 80s and also the 90s. We could get into Giuliani, which may be a case that I speak about next, speaking about Giuliani and Dinkins and how combined their policies actually help to reduce a lot of this crime in the city. We could speak about Bloomberg, also de Blasio, Mayor Adams. Like, these are long lines of these issues. And Bernard Goetz was definitely polarizing in this city. Man. He was definitely polarizing. And it speaks about gun laws. It goes into self-defense. And all of these, how do I feel about it? As a law-abiding citizen, how do I feel about it? Was black or white? He was white. He was a white man. Bernard Goetz was a white man. He was a law-abiding citizen. But just listening to the stuff that he did, he showed no remorse. Like, he really was trying to kill these people. And, how much is too much? Was it self-defense? But was it not self-defense, And these are still some of the questions that people ask because, it's polarizing. Again, as a law-abiding citizen and him being robbed before, one of the perpetrators got caught and they basically lit him off with not too much things going on. They basically got off. He was just tired. And it struck the city. It struck the city in a place where, it divided us. It most definitely divided us, my people, Somebody on the check-in said, how do you feel about his Mondani fella? How do you feel about this Mondani fella? How do I feel about Mondani? How do I feel about him? Listen, man, it's tough. It's tough. I'm down with Mayor Adams. Mayor Adams did me wrong, getting in bed with some people that he most likely shouldn't have gotten in bed with. Mayor Adams is ex-cop, I do feel like New York, we are, I'm not one of those people like Black Lives Matter. I understand that cops can overreach, which isn't a good thing. But at the same time, we do need the police in our neighborhoods because, again, if we go back to the 90s, if we go back to the 1970s and the 1980s, I wouldn't be able to walk out here at 4:30 in the morning without having a gun and carrying myself. It would be a whole different situation. So on those cases, of course, I do need the police. But at the same time, I do not believe that they should overreach. And I do believe that there should be laws because we've had issues out here. Sean Bell, issue where I was out that night. I went to the 40-40 that night when Sean Bell got killed by the police, where he got shot all those times. Also, you look at Diallo, Mamadou Diallo, who, out here in New York, they stuck plungers and all types of stuff and just did that man dirty. So I remember about those cases. So in those cases, yeah, the police overreached. But at the same time, we still need them on the streets. Somebody said, question, expansion of universe 2130, Big Bang 40. We could get into that. I definitely in there. Somebody said, gotta go. Have a great day, everybody. Risa, what up? Thank you for your input. That was definitely, I appreciate it. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that these issues are nuanced. I believe that there's no real answer to these things. I think that New York is a place with so many different people.